And Emily's joining. Perfect. Right, so as it is 11 o'clock and I am weary of time, if it's a wee mini hug, we've got to half past, we'll just get stuck right in. So I'm Amy, I'm the Senior Marketing Executive here, and welcome to our hug today on our top 5 tips of effectively generating leads in HubSpot. So I'm your co-host, and I will pass on over to Leah in a wee second, who will be going through all the slides with you. It's so nice for all of you to join us today. I just wanted to kind of touch base on HubGem really quickly. So we were founded by our CEO, Gemma Price. I want to say a little over 4 years ago, but actually I think it's coming up to more 5 years now, in November. So she was working in education and marketing and administrations. And she had experience working in these areas at an independent school and saw firsthand kind of the challenges of using like a disconnected system. And she actually helped implement HubSpot where she was working, and she experienced all the benefits herself. She loved that. Decided to share her knowledge and help other organisations, and that's where HubGen was born out of that desire. And today we're focusing predominantly on helping kind of education institutions and non-profits leverage HubSpot. And we want to help them grow their business. But today, we will be focusing on generating leads. So I will now pass you on over to Leah, who can introduce herself and get started.
Fab, thank you, Amy. Yes, so I am Leah, as you can see in the picture there. I am a marketing and CRM consultant here at HubGem. I take my clients through whether it's, onboarding, support plans with various projects, helping them implement HubSpot in the best way for them. Today, we're going to be looking at various lead capture tools and some top tips from myself on how you can be, creating content, managing it, and capturing your leads. As Amy said, we will have time at the end for some Q&A, so if you have got any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat as we go, and we will come back to them at the end. I am going to just start by going through, as you can see here, our top 5 tips on effectively generating leads in HubSpot with myself. I'm going to jump straight into our agenda. So, first thing we're going to be looking at are my favorite lead capture tools in HubSpot. Then we'll be moving on to Content Hub tools to create and manage your content. Also looking at briefly what Content Hub is as well, before moving on lastly to the prospecting tool and how you can use that to manage your leads. Then at the end, as mentioned, we'll have time for a little bit of Q&A if anybody has anything they want to ask. Okay, let's jump straight in to favorite lead capture tools. So there are lots of lead capture tools in HubSpot and many that we can use to help us capture the right information from the right people. Firstly, though, I want to focus more on CTAs and pop-up forms. So what is a CTA? CTA is a trackable call to action. It's something that you can create and put into your content to get people to give you their information, essentially. A pop-up form is a style of CTA now. It sits within the CTA tool. There was a time where the pop-up form itself would sit kind of in the forms tool, so in the main form builder, but that's now slightly separate in HubSpot. So we've got our CTA tools, including the pop-up forms. As you can see, CTAs can be created in a variety of formats. So from my little screenshot there, you can see sticky banners, pop-up box. So this is where you could add in a form, for example, and have a pop-up form. You could use this for many use cases, typically for instances where you're capturing probably less information rather than a full-blown application form or anything like that. You could use this to gate your content, for example. So you need this information from them so that you can then move them onto whatever content that you want to. You've got slide-in, embedded, so a mix of everything. Images, so you can have actual images that link to other places. And then the most popular, which is the button, which you're probably more familiar with seeing and potentially use yourself as well in other areas. CTAs can be used across your content and strategy, including in your landing pages, blogs, and marketing emails, and more. So you can create your CTAs within HubSpot. Then you can actually use them in the other content areas of your CRM. So if you've got a blog post, for example, perhaps you want to add a CTA to the bottom of that, pull your visitors elsewhere, whether that then links to somewhere they can give their information or not. You can also track the CTAs as well. So that's a really kind of key element of what a CTA is and what it does. You want it to capture people, you want them to perform an action essentially, and you want to be able to track that as well. You can use CTAs to link to your other HubSpot assets. So not only can you create the CTA in HubSpot, you can then have these within your assets, and then you can link to other assets from where they sit. So for example, you could have a CTA that links to a specific form. It could be an inquiry form, it could be a document that they can actually download. So I've put prospectus here as a popular example, or even a meetings link. So you could have a CTA that links to a specific scheduling page for someone on your admissions team, for example, so that the visitor, the lead, can go ahead and schedule in a meeting on a time that works well for both of you. Alongside our pop-up forms, as mentioned at the beginning, we also have our main form builder, which is, I suppose some would say, our main form of capturing kind of the most information. We're talking predominantly about leads today, so getting them in that first kind of initial phase, but you can use your form tool kind of throughout the journey. So initially, it might be an inquiry form, for example. You can have this form embedded onto your website. You could share it as a link, so you might have, an email that you're sharing this form in via a link. On this form, you can ask for as much or as little information as you want, depending on, where you're using this form and what information you actually need from the person at that stage. We can use the information that people provide to us in the CRM through a form. We can go ahead and use that to really engage with them as they go through their journey with us. So the information they give in an inquiry form, for example, we can use that information in our CRM once we have it. The contact record can be created, which as an example could be a parent record. Then we can use HubSpot's automation tools to pull out the student information and create a student record in the deal object, as an example, and track them along the pipeline, so along their admissions journey. We can then create tailored content for them through the information that they've provided. So a really kind of key tool to capturing your information. I've put tip 1 here because I want to remember to get these in, and it's likely that I might just brush past it. So the first tip is to have a really good think about, okay, knowing the balance between, are you asking for too much information here, or are you asking for, not enough? There is a balance between asking for, such little information that you don't know who's who, you don't know what they're really inquiring about. Is it worth having them in there if all you know is their name and email, for example? On the flip side, you don't want to, in a pop-up form, be asking for loads of information because it could put people off. So my first tip would just be consider what you actually need. What data gaps do you find that you have at that stage typically? Can you be adding in more relevant information, so more relevant questions? And where are you actually asking for this information? So is it a full-blown form on your website, or is it a pop-up form? So have a think about the information that you're asking, because that will have an effect on whether people feel like they want to give you that or not, and also how effective then that information can be in the CRM. Chat flows. So I'm going to move on now to a separate tool. So we've got our chat flows. Chat flows is a tool in itself. It's kind of an automated tool in HubSpot. This is where you can come to create tailored conversations, essentially. You can have a live chat, which is, a live chat. You can have those conversations live with people, or you can create a chat bot. So you can kind of tailor, okay, if somebody gives me this answer, or if they're asking this question, let's show them here, or, let's answer with this. You can branch off and decide where you want those people to go. It's a really powerful way of capturing leads because, as my first point says here, it's a great way to provide them value. Giving them what they need when they need it and when they're asking for it, which means they're more likely to want to give you information. They're more likely to want to engage. You're going to attract them in better, and then you can move on and engage them once you've got that information. You can decide if, when, and who to assign incoming conversations to on your team. So if you did want to have a bot, for example, and then at a certain point in that journey, or if they answer a certain, question with a certain answer that you give them, you can then send that conversation to a member of your team. You can assign it to somebody within your HubSpot account, so another user. You can also push them into a live conversation at a certain point in that chat flow if you want to. So, you have control over when, where, and who these conversations go to. The next point here, a really important one, is that you can manage your conversations from one central place. HubSpot prides itself on having everything all in one, and this tool kind of really promotes that, I guess, in the way that you can control the conversation and you can, respond to these conversations from your inbox, the same place that you can control, or respond to rather, your conversations that are coming in through, your shared emails and things. So it's all in one place. It's in your inbox tool in HubSpot, and you can respond to these conversations there. Everyone else in your team can actually see these conversations as well. So it's nice to have it in one place. You can see conversations that have been assigned to you. It also means that, nobody's slipping through the net. Leads aren't given their information. You're not having, conversations with prospective parents and students for them to then, not go any further. Have control over the information that you capture. So my final point with the chat flows is, it is important to an extent, as I mentioned with kind of my first tip, is making sure that, you have some element of control over what is the information that you need, and are they providing this in the best way. In a chat flow, you can let people, if you want to, free type their answers, or you can choose, specific answers that they can choose and send them down branches based on those. You can have a variety of chat flows across different pages, which means that, you can tailor them towards more specific use cases, I guess. Maybe you have one on an open day page, for example, and you let them, talk about open day kind of topics or information. Tip 2, moving on to my second tip, would be all to do with chat flows in particular, but also any area really, is that ultimately, as a minimum, you need to be capturing first name, last name, email, and that needs to be a kind of a minimum level of information that you always want to be getting from your leads. This means that we can go ahead and we can have those contact records created in the CRM. The information can be stored on there. You can view that on there. You can view these conversations there. If you're not asking for these and people don't provide these, it could well be that you have a really great, meaningful conversation, be it in a chat flow, for example, but you don't have their information, and then it can be difficult to follow up and chase. Okay, moving on then to our next slide, all about Content Hub tools to create and manage content. So what is Content Hub? First thing I want to note before we get into this slide is that your content is essentially, the face of what you do. It's the face of your organization, your school, your college, your university. It's what people see when they search for you, when they're looking for you on socials, whether they're searching for you in Google. The content that you have out there is really important, and it's often the first impression that people have of your organization. So getting it right is absolutely key. I know myself, if I'm searching for specific things online, whether I'm clothes shopping or whatever I'm doing, the kind of images that are used, the fonts even, the colors, the way that it's kind of out there, the information, is it helpful for me? Am I getting value from this? All of that, even at a subconscious level, I believe really does have an effect. So Content Hub is a great place to come, because the hub itself, as you can see, is overflowing with new and exciting tools that help you both create your content, but also then manage them. So, we do have our Marketing Hub, for example, with lots of marketing tools, but Content Hub has the create and the manage elements kind of put together in one place. They've got familiar tools in this hub, so our SEO tools, which I'm not going to be going into today, but other tools alongside that as well that we're more familiar with. And also brand new features. So we've got brand voice, content remix, for example, lots of exciting tools that we can use to capture those leads. Let's dive into my favorites. So the remix tool is a brilliant tool. It means that you can essentially use content that you already have, or even create new content within this, and then remix it into various formats so that you can use your best content and remix it into different versions, have it on different platforms, share it with different people. As it says in my top point, reuse your best content in a variety of formats. So in my screenshot there, that's kind of an example that I created the other day. So you can use a blog post. This was kind of one that was already in the account. And then I chose to remix this within the tool into various other formats. So, audio file, an image, even an email. So the tool's taken the information from that blog post and it's put it within these other formats that I can then go and share and do what I want with. This saves you time for your marketing teams, for anybody who needs to be putting out content. It's going to save a lot of time, because it's really important, as I said, that your content that you put out is a true representation of you and what you do. If you're running low on ideas, you're not sure what you want to post, don't know where to start, this tool is a great place to come to, because you can remix content you already have, content that's done well, and then you can go ahead and share that in different formats. You don't want to just be putting out information, posts just for the sake of it, just to say, okay, great, we've posted every day. That isn't necessarily going to provide value. Create new and engaging content using the remix tool and boost your creativity. So yeah, a couple of bits that I've talked about there. The tool essentially means that you can remix, one version of your content into another, and you can share those. Tip 3, so this is my tip predominantly for remix tool, but again, it could be, it could flow through to other areas, is that always use HubSpot's analytics to guide you. So it's really simple. It might seem really simple to kind of think, right, okay, this post has got this many views, or we've got loads of likes on this. That's great. I'm really excited, which is good. But that doesn't necessarily, mean that that's the best performing post that you've got. You need to look a little bit deeper. Make sure that you go in, that you're looking at your analytics. Okay, who, for example, in this blog post read to the end? Who's clicked on that CTA that we had at the bottom of this page and has gone on to fill in that form? Who's following the journey through? Where have we provided the most value? This content might not always be the most, beautiful content. It might not necessarily be the most fun to create. So it's worth keeping in mind that whilst you want the content to look good, because it is likely going to be the first impression, you also want it to provide value, because that's what's going to make people want to come back. That's what's going to make, people want to keep reading. So look at your content that you've already got. That's my tip. Look at what you've already got. Look at how well it's doing across the board. So yes, it looks good. It's got lots of likes and things. Are people performing specific actions here that we want them to? If that's doing well, start there. Remix that, for example. Or use similar content to that and kind of recreate it in a slightly different way. Managing your content with memberships. So this is kind of moving on slightly now to having control over the content that you have. So this is kind of the flip side to this. You've created the content, you've got it there. Now, how are you going to manage this? You don't have to. You could have your content open to everybody. You don't have to use this tool, but it's a really great way to control who can see specific content that you post. So create exclusive content tailored for key stages in the admissions journey is kind of an example that I've put here. You could use memberships, which the tool essentially is kind of what it says. You create access groups within this tool, and then you kind of apply that kind of membership group to the content that you create as and when you want to. So this could be a blog post, for example, which is quite a nice example. You could create a blog post and then set it so that people need specific access to a specific group to be able to see that. So you can have a dynamic group in this tool, which means that we set specific criteria. When people meet this criteria, they have access. Or we can set a kind of more static group, which means that essentially you manually go in and give people access kind of one by one. It's up to you how you want to do that. But you can create exclusive content for specific stages. So it might be, for example, key stages. It doesn't need to be every stage in the pipeline necessarily, but it could be, okay, let's look at inquiry to open day. What content can we have to capture people, to attract people in between, inquiry and open day? Maybe we're going to give access to people who have inquired and who are active but haven't quite got to the open day stage yet. There's something that's kind of stopping them. Let's put content out around open days that you've had. Let's give them exclusive access to an area there that they can come in to see, open day information from the past. They can see nice images, information. They can get further information about, inquiring and how to apply even, for example. What you can do is use this tool to, as I've said at the bottom there, nurture your leads with the content they actually want to see and that's going to provide value. It's going back to this value point. Attract and engage using the HubSpot flywheel methodology. So we know, we want to attract, we want to engage, and we want to delight. That's a really kind of key part of keeping everybody interested, whether they're a brand new lead or not. Once we've attracted them, they've given us their information, let's engage them. Let's create these specific areas. Let's send a nice email to let them know that they've now got exclusive kind of access to this area, that they can provide content that's going to give them the value they need. So tip 4 would be just having a think about this. Have a think about what content you can kind of tie almost to specific areas or specific key stages of your journey, and then provide access, or at least share that content with people that are at that stage, because it's then relevant and it hopefully will provide them some value. Okay, moving on lastly then to the prospecting tool, so the prospecting workspace. This is a brilliant kind of newish place in HubSpot. It's essentially where you can come to manage all of your leads and your general productivity in one space in HubSpot. So boost team productivity, save time by chasing leads who are actively engaging in your efforts. So when you come into the tool, I've shown a few screenshots there, you'll be able to see, as it says here, my name, my progress through my tasks. So what kind of tasks have I got today? Okay, have I got to-dos? Have I got emails? Have I got calls? Where are my meetings at? How many have I completed? How many are scheduled? How many people are cancelling on me? You can see all of your leads here as well. So you have access to, the leads that are in your account that are assigned to you. You can also see kind of suggestions that HubSpot can give, so suggested actions even. Maybe you should follow up with this email. So it's a really good place to come just to have a really good overview of what's going on with your leads, and also then how you can go ahead and manage them and nurture them through. Manage your work and achieve your goals all in one place, so you don't have to keep changing tabs and things. Use this tool to engage with prospective parents and students and fill your pipelines with deals. So, in our case, student records who are actually likely to apply. So let's just chase the ones that are engaging with us. Have they, booked a meeting and actually shown up? Are they responding to our emails? Are they actively engaging in the efforts that we're putting out? That's the main thing we want to be looking at. And we can use this tool to view where they're at in their journey and what stage they're at. Lead stage will automatically update as they go through the journey, so you can view their stage, their engagement, and more. So you can see there I've got a couple of open stages I've just screenshotted: new, attempting, and connected. If somebody's booked a meeting and then they don't show, for example, or it's cancelled, they could be automatically updated to attempting. So they're attempting, but it's not quite there. Maybe they're fully connected, they're fully there with you, they're engaging, and they're connected. So it'll happen automatically in HubSpot, which is really helpful and really handy. You can have leads added automatically when someone performs an action. So if someone books a meeting with you, for example, via your meetings link, your scheduling page, they can come into this space so you can see them as a lead specifically. When was their last engagement? When was their last activity? What stage are they at? Who are they, for example? Or you can add new leads in manually, capture their information. You can edit the capturing form on this tool so that you can make sure you're asking for the relevant information that you need to be asking for. Tip 5, so my kind of 5th tip here is again specific to this tool, but again, I suppose a more general one as well, in terms of capturing your leads and getting them in. The main point of this tool ultimately is to boost your productivity, and being productive sounds great. We all want to be productive. It's not always realistic, but that's kind of where my tip stems from, or my final tip is just try to have an overview of what's going on. When we know kind of where to go and what next steps to take, I feel that then people end up being more productive, what to do, rather than sitting, not being sure, who's engaging, where do I see this? Instead of having to go through all your contact records and see what's going on, or even into the reporting tool, you can come to this space, you can have an overview of what's going on, you can see where you need to go, who do you need to prioritize, for example, and you can start thinking about, okay, this is what my next steps are going to be. It's going to make you more productive. Even if you come into this tool, start of the day and just have a look at, right, where am I at? What do I need to do? Especially if you're actively using HubSpot to pull those leads in, and that's more kind of your role, your focus there. It's a great tool to keep an eye on. Even if you don't want to use it and you don't want to kind of fully use it, my tip would be, if you've got access to this in HubSpot, at least just keep it in mind that you can come here and help your productivity essentially, which then will mean you're chasing the right people and hopefully pulling in those people. You're attracting them, you're engaging them. Hopefully then they'll go on to apply. The final kind of slide then talking through all of this today is going to be just a little conclusion. So I just want to recap briefly my kind of top tips or our top 5 tips here regarding kind of everything that we've discussed today, all the different tools, all the different ways that you can capture your leads, you can be attracting them, and then also using HubSpot to go that bit further and nurture them, give them that personalized experience. So when asking for information, know the balance. Look at the format that you're asking for this in. Are you asking for too much, or are you not asking for very much here? Is there kind of key data points that you find you're always chasing? When creating a chat flow in particular, always make sure you're asking for first name, last name, email. Free to use language. HubSpot kind of provides this anyway by default, but what's a good email address to contact you with? It's all about the wording. If you're remixing your content, start by checking your analytics. Your best performing posts are the best places to start, and again, they might not always be the ones that you feel are most kind of fun. Providing relevant content gives you more opportunity to provide value. Value is the reason people will come back. Consider tailored content you could be creating to help attract and engage your leads. And then lastly, manage your productivity. Make sure you're chasing the right leads. Make use of the prospecting tool where you can, even if it's just checking on your leads and being aware of the stage that they're at. Okay, that was a lot. I'm going to take a breath now and just breathe for a moment, but thanks everybody for listening to that. Can move on now to questions. If anybody has any, please feel free.
Perfect, Leah, that was brilliant. Thank you so much. I think we can all agree that has been so informative. So yeah, we do have a couple of questions, which is brilliant. Becky, going back to the CTAs, has asked that can you add a CTA in a form thank you page after they have completed the form?
That is a good question, and I would say ultimately yes, you could. So if they've completed a form, for example, you could then send them to a specific page. Maybe that's a landing page that you then have your CTA on, for example, and you can have specific content on that. So you can control where they go. It's up to you kind of where they go after they've submitted that form and given that information.
Amazing, thank you. And then Jonathan has also asked if you can use WhatsApp instead of email and have HubSpot track the lead progress from new, attempting, and connected. They find less and less clients respond to emails these days.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and yeah, I get what you're saying with emails. It's yeah, it's a tricky one to get right. I think with WhatsApp, it is something that you can now use in HubSpot. You can now utilize kind of the integration between WhatsApp and HubSpot. How that looks and reflects in the actual leads tool itself, I would need to go and check. So it's something that I'm not actually sure on myself. But I would have thought that there will be an element of it, yes, because there is a clear kind of connection between the two and an integration. So worth looking into it further, definitely.
Amazing. And again, one more we've got, can you pull CTA buttons into Outlook with the sales tool? Like, can you with templates and snippets?
Good question. And again, I'm not 100% sure on that. That's something that I've not actually done myself. I would have thought if you could, it would have been in the same place where you could pull in like a snippet and a template. So I would probably kind of fair on the side of no. It's more kind of a marketing email-y element that you would add in there. But again, something I'd have to kind of triple check to be sure. But yeah.
Brilliant. Well, that concludes the questions at the moment, but if anybody else
Brilliant.
has any afterwards, then please feel free to get in touch with anybody at HubGem and we will happily pass over our answers and help in any way that we can.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you for
Yeah,
listening as well, everybody, and for
no
joining.
worries. It's been absolutely fantastic. I'm cautious that we have 3 minutes left. So if we move on, Leah, if that's all right, we do have
Yeah,
a
of
few
course.
resources that we can pass on. This will be sent to you from our emails on Monday. So we've got a few blogs that relate to kind of generating leads as well as some HubGem resources and HubSpot resources. So I'll let you have a look at them in your own time. They're great, especially with the HubSpot one, Beginner's Guide to Generating Business Leads in an Inbound Way. I find that really useful. And if you want more information as well, if we move on, you can subscribe to our marketing and missions blog. We've got plenty of information. Any answers you've got about HubSpot or HubGem, you will find in there. You can also sign up to our LinkedIn user group, which we feel is a great community just for answering questions back and forth with other people who may find the same kind of problems or questions that you may have back and forth. If we can't answer them, maybe somebody in there could, but I'm sure we will be able to. We'll also be posting a lot of kind of HubSpot hacks in there and just kind of updating you on all things HubSpot and HubGem. So yeah, keep an eye out for our next Hub sessions as well. This won't be until after Inbound. We're very excited to be flying over to Boston for the big Inbound session soon to learn all things HubSpot. So yeah, please tune in for that in October. And yeah, keep an eye on our sign up for our YouTube channel where you will find all of our kind of previous hugs and future hugs as well if you miss them at any time. So yeah, thank you so much everybody for joining us. It's been great to have you all.